Well, hello everyone, and welcome to English 101, section S06X at MCC. Welcome to week 7, everyone. If I get my hands out here, week 7. So give yourselves a pat on the back. Next week is really about turning things in our final exam, which, by the way, you don't have to study for. It's an open-ended question. You'll have plenty of time to do it. It's a tiny essay, as you might expect in a class like this, but it gives everyone one last little chance to boost their grade because I enjoy reading them and I hope you'll take time for it. But I'll talk more about that on next Monday. So just a reminder, looking at our schedule, the class does end next Friday. So a week from this Friday, or it ends on July 9. So it won't be that Sunday, which would be the 8th. So just a warning about that. It's on the schedule. It's in the weekly folder material. But we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. So it's Tour de France time. Stage 5 was today. I have these hats. This is my yellow jersey hat. It's kind of a sport that suffered from all sorts of doping issues and enhancement drugs, but I still get a little bit excited about it. I'm an amateur cyclist. I don't race anymore, but it's kind of fun to get into it. This is the yellow jersey hat. I also have the polka dot jersey hat, which is for the mountain stage. I used to have a green hat too for the points classification, which usually means the sprinters, but I think I must have lost it somewhere. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you a little bit today because I'm going to try to pay it forward this time with my comments on the first draft of the MLA research essay. Now, normally I give my more detailed comments and I email them out to you after the essays, and I did that with narrative and process. With persuasive, I just used the rubric. So if you have a score for the persuasive, for which I was able to offer the rubric, sometimes I wasn't, you can go in there and you can look at my detailed comments under the rubric. Because some of you have the same topic for the persuasive essay and the MLA research essay, I'm just going to put my comments on the MLA research essay first draft. Otherwise, I'd be duplicating things all over again. And if you are using the same research question or topic for the persuasive and the MLA research essay, you'll definitely want to look at my comments. Now, I hope to release those via email on Thursday. It might be Friday for some of them, but I hope to get most of them out tomorrow. It's my last chance for you to see my comments in Word in the comment section so that you can make meaningful changes. And please, 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 when you get those comments, address every issue. Maybe it's just giving credit to something. Maybe it's about the introduction or conclusion. Maybe it's about talking about other sides of the argument, right? To concede or at least acknowledge counter arguments. I probably will not have time to comment on the editing side of things, the grammar and so forth. But I will focus as much as I can on the contact rather, and the MLA, because we still have results that are all over the place with MLA. And this is just my last chance to give you advice on how to do it right. So again, look for those late Thursday, maybe into Friday. I wanted to get them out before the holiday because I know a lot of us have plans, and at least you'll have them coming back on Monday or Tuesday so you can wrap up and give a strong final essay. So just to let you know, go back to the weekly folder here. We're wrapping up the course. Next week is really about turning items in more than anything else. And you will be, of course, writing peer letters or comments. I do recommend this. The choice is still yours, but I feel like the length of the MLA research essay, it would be much better, I think, to write comments in Word because you can actually attach those to specific words and lines and passages. It's what I do, and I think it means more. Now, again, if you receive comments from a peer and from me, please go through everyone and kind of check it off, because if you skip or miss things, which happened a lot, in previous essays where people ignored my advice or maybe in too much of a hurry. The final copies really suffered because of that. If you decide to do a feedback letter, that's fine. Again, make it very specific so it's clear exactly what you are addressing. We have our final two discussion boards talking about the beginning and ending techniques, and there are requirements for that, just as there were for the persuasive essay, using either a beginning technique. First of all, using a beginning technique from the University of North Carolina, and also a concluding technique from the Harvard Writing Center, excuse me. And you can see the instructions, there are links to those. I would say only about a third of the class took that direction and executed it. Most people just kind of made up their own beginning and their own ending. Again, follow the directions. These are meant to give your essay more sophistication, more gravity, more readability, to be honest with you. We don't want a summary. We don't want in conclusion or all in all or overall, all these sort of trite things that I know have been taught over the years, but that we don't want to do that. So think about your beginning, middle, and end. And then the punch list is really just a response like, what do you need to do yet? So you're going to read all of our comments. Everything from your peers has until Sunday night to come in. Like I said, mine will come in Thursday or Friday. Looking at that, then kind of being thoughtful and reflective, what do you have left to do? I've worked in enough different jobs to know that the punch list at the end of the week or beginning of the week was always an important item for my supervisors. They wanted to know what I had to do yet, and I needed to communicate that to them as well. And you can see it's a pretty short week when it comes right down to it. So one of the things I want to talk about is when I go through your first draft of the MLA research paper, again, hope to get those out on Thursday or Friday, I'm actually looking at a couple different things. The first thing I'm looking at are the instructions for the essay. So I'm looking at all these details because these are part of the rubric as well. Looking to at least 5, to 7 pages of text, not including the works cited. That does mean 5 full pages of text and a works cited page at the end. Having said that, some of you took your annotated bibliography and just pasted that into your works cited. The only problem with that is you need to go in and delete all the summaries. I mean, you can do that if there are no changes from your annotated bibliography, and some of you don't. I get that. But you do need to go in and delete all the summaries, the annotations as we call them, so that it's just a works cited page. Just to show you the one from my sample essay on making space for safe recycling, you can see there are no more annotations here. It is just the list of the sources. Just a reminder, anything off the database must be cleared by me. A couple of you have done that. Primary sources, interviews, those also have to be cleared by me before you go any further. The one thing that concerns me the most is that I'm seeing things all over the board when it comes to just polished writing. And I know how this is this time of the year. You just want to get it done. I've been there, I understand that too. But this is your last chance to raise your grade. Certainly you don't want it to go down. And if there isn't attention to the nitty gritty, if you want to call it that, there is that potential for that to happen. Now, you can see we've gone through all of these steps right now. But when it comes down to this is the most important part for me. So, double check, double check, all these things. Did you introduce your sources the first time they are used? You want to make it the most polished piece of writing you can do. Going back to the works cited, what I will do, and I've already started on these, is I print the works cited page for every essay. And then literally what I do, let me get my pen here. This is my essay, so I didn't do it with this one. But if I find a source in the essay, I'll check it off here. So let's go back to making space for safe recycling. I think I have this open. Yeah. So you can see I do the anecdote, surprising anecdote strategy from the UNC. And in my second paragraph, I start introducing sources. So I have two authors here, Brian O'Neill and Dinesh Mohan. And by the way, if there are two, you use both their names. If there are three or more, you could say like Brian O'Neill and others. We don't use at all in text. We do use it in parentheses. But so I'm looking at Brian O'Neill and Mohan. So if that were in your source, I'd look through my printout of your works cited. And it's kind of hard to see. Whoops. But I've just checked it off. Brian O'Neill and Dinesh Mohan. Think of your text and your works cited as an equation. So those of you in math know that one side has to balance with the other side. That's what the equal sign is all about. So if it's in your text, it needs to be in your works cited. If it's in your works cited, the source needs to be in your text. If I can't track the two, that's almost always a recipe for big problems in the MLA research essay. So make sure if you introduce a speaker, but they're not the author, that you use the indirect style. So at the end, you'll use quoted in, whatever the source happens to be. Only about half of you are getting that right now. Again, when it comes to block quotes, this is anything over 4 lines of text. It has to be over 4 lines. 4 lines is still okay. You can only use one of those in the essay. I have several people who have just been stuffing the essay with quotes. That's not what writing is about. Think of it as seasoning your essay lightly. You take the salt shaker. You don't dump it out on there, right? You can taste it again, maybe add a little more. Maybe you regret adding it, I don't know. So think of bringing extra voices in as a seasoning, a light seasoning. So you don't want to, I had people putting in whole paragraphs of text, as their writing. And when I highlight it all, I realized there are more quotes than there are actual sentences from the writer. And that's a problem, obviously. That's not something we're trying to do here as well. Going back to a few other little requirements here, I'm just going to use my essay as an example. Just a reminder here, I'm going kind of quickly. If you have a speaker like John Franklin, he's speaking here. Here's the whole quote. But a reminder here that he isn't the author. I can't find John Franklin. I'm never going to be able to check him off. Oh, but he is quoted in Luke, however you say that. And I can find him in the essay. Works cited. Again, I'll just check him off here. It's hard for you guys to see what I'm doing here, I know. But I can check him off here that he has been mentioned. So I want to see clean check marks. I don't want to see extra sources in the text. I don't want to see extra sources in the works cited. That's usually a problem. Now you can do these same things, by the way, when you do your peer evaluations. In fact, it would be a really generous and good thing for you to do that. This is our last, peer evaluation time. And as much as it is tempting to not put a lot of effort into it, some of you are really good at this. And I know the writers you've evaluated have really appreciated your comments. So do take the time to print that works cited out and double check for them, and then indicate where those items are and where you can help. Just one last thing I want to say before I leave you for the rest of the week and the holiday. If you are interested in setting up an appointment with the MCC Writing Center, remember the final draft is due, I'm looking at my calendar here, Friday, the 9th of July. That's out there, but it's not that far away. So if you want to use the MCC Writing Center because there is a holiday, because this is a busy time for Jamie and her staff, you want to set this up immediately. And there may not even be any more openings because the end of a semester is very crowded. But if you're looking for that last set of eyes and bit of advice, as I think some of you would really benefit from, it's important to set that up really early. Well, switch my hat here for a second. Tomorrow we go into our first mountain stage of the tour. Not quite sure how that'll play out. We're still pretty early yet, so it usually ends up being closer when we get to Alpe d'Huez or into the Pyrenees, sometimes where the race gets really interesting. So at any rate, I do wish you a great 4th. We have my grandsons and my granddaughter and them over, and we're looking for a good time together with family, and we wish you the best too. One more message, probably a Monday next week, explaining the final exam, and we'll talk to you then. Take care and be safe over the 4th, whether driving or blowing up things or sparkling things. Take care.